The global economy is constantly evolving, and one of the most significant developments in recent years has been the rise of the BRICS nations. The BRICS group, originally consisting of Brazil, Russia, India, and China, later expanded to include South Africa, transforming the bloc into a diverse group of emerging economies. Among the most significant discussions surrounding the BRICS nations is the development of a BRICS currency. Understanding how this currency works, its potential to reshape the global financial system, and why it is important for everyone to keep an eye on the developments related to this currency is crucial for both individuals and businesses in today's interconnected world. The BRICS grouping was first conceptualized in 2001 by economist Jim O'Neill of Goldman Sachs, who noted the growing economic potential of Brazil, Russia, India, and China. O'Neill predicted that these four countries, collectively representing a large portion of the world's population and resources, would become major players in the global economy by 2050. The term BRIC was coined to describe the economic bloc of Brazil, Russia, India, and China, and it signified their shared goals of increasing their influence in global economic affairs. The first formal BRICS summit took place in 2009, and it was here that the member states officially committed to a multipolar world order, which aimed to reduce the dominance of Western powers, particularly the United States. The BRICS countries advocated for a shift away from a unipolar world dominated by Western countries and institutions, and instead called for a more balanced and equitable global economic structure. In the years that followed, the BRICS nations increasingly emphasized the need for an alternative to the US dollar as the global reserve currency. This led to discussions about the potential for a new currency or a shift in how global transactions are conducted. The idea of de-dollarization, moving away from reliance on the US dollar, became central to the BRICS agenda, and the group began exploring ways to create a currency that could serve the needs of its members and challenge the dollar's dominance. In 2010, South Africa joined the group, and the acronym was changed to BRICS. This marked a significant shift in the group's composition, as it was no longer focused solely on the economic power of the original four nations, but instead sought to include emerging economies from other regions. South Africa's inclusion broadened the group's reach and emphasized the BRICS commitment to representing the interests of developing countries around the world. The idea of a BRICS currency has been evolving slowly but steadily since its inception. While discussions around creating a new currency for BRICS nations have been ongoing, it is important to note that this currency is not yet fully established. However, the concept has gained momentum in recent years as the BRICS countries work together to establish a stronger economic union and reduce their dependency on Western financial systems. The BRICS countries have diverse economies, and each one brings unique resources to the table. For example, Brazil is rich in agricultural resources, Russia has vast oil and gas reserves, India is a hub for technology and services, and China is the world's manufacturing powerhouse. These resources, coupled with strong manufacturing sectors and policy reforms, provide the foundation for a potential BRICS currency. Despite these strengths, the BRICS currency faces several challenges. One of the key obstacles is the need for consensus among the member nations on the specifics of the currency's creation and implementation. While the BRICS countries have made strides in strengthening their economic cooperation, each nation has its own priorities, and aligning these priorities into a single unified currency presents significant hurdles. However, progress has been made. One of the most notable steps in this direction was the creation of the New Development Bank, ENDB, which was established by the BRICS countries to provide financing for infrastructure and development projects in emerging economies. The NDB is intended to serve as an alternative to the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, IMF, both of which have been criticized for their perceived Western bias and the dominance of the US dollar in global finance. The NDB is seen as a crucial part of the BRICS effort to reduce reliance on Western financial institutions and to provide support for developing nations facing economic strain. The BRICS currency is more than just an economic initiative. It represents a shift in the global balance of power. One of the key reasons the BRICS currency matters is its potential to weaken the US dollar's status as the dominant global reserve currency. The dollar has long been the primary currency used in global trade and finance, and its widespread use has given the United States significant economic leverage. The BRICS countries, however, are seeking to change this dynamic by developing a currency that could serve as an alternative to the dollar. The ability of BRICS nations to bypass the US dollar in international transactions would have significant implications for global trade. For smaller countries, particularly those in Africa and Latin America, the BRICS currency could offer an opportunity to avoid the economic pressures that come with reliance on the dollar. Many nations in these regions have faced economic difficulties due to currency volatility and the impact of US sanctions, and a new currency could provide them with more flexibility and independence in their trade relations. Another important aspect of the BRICS currency is its potential to reduce the impact of US sanctions. For example, Russia has been able to withstand sanctions imposed by the US and the European Union, in part due to its efforts to move away from the dollar and adopt alternative currencies in its trade agreements. This has allowed Russia to reduce its exposure to the risks associated with the dollar-based financial system. For countries with smaller or emerging economies, the BRICS currency could provide a mechanism to access liquidity and financing without being subject to the conditions and constraints imposed by Western financial institutions. The NDB, as a development bank that is independent of the Western-dominated financial system, plays a crucial role in providing financing to countries that might otherwise struggle to secure funding for key infrastructure projects. Despite its potential, the BRICS currency is not without its challenges. One of the primary issues is the economic disparity between the BRICS nations. While China and India are two of the largest economies in the world, Brazil and Russia are less economically developed, and South Africa faces its own set of challenges. Aligning these economies under a single currency would require overcoming significant political and economic differences. Additionally, the global financial system is highly interconnected, and a shift away from the US dollar would have far-reaching consequences. While the BRICS nations may be able to reduce their reliance on the dollar in bilateral trade, the global financial system would need to adapt to accommodate a new reserve currency. This would require significant cooperation between the BRICS countries and other major global economies, such as the European Union and Japan. However, the potential benefits of the BRICS currency cannot be ignored. For smaller nations and emerging economies, the currency could provide a more stable and equitable alternative to the US dollar. It could also serve as a catalyst for greater economic cooperation between developing countries and reduce the dominance of Western financial institutions that have long shaped the global economy. The BRICS currency, while still in development, represents a bold step toward a more diversified and equitable global financial system. As the BRICS nations continue to work together and strengthen their economic ties, the potential for a new global reserve currency grows. This currency, if fully realized, could reduce the dominance of the US dollar and provide smaller and emerging economies with a more independent and stable financial system. For businesses and individuals alike, staying informed about the developments surrounding the BRICS currency is essential, as it has the potential to reshape global trade and finance in the coming years. The rise of the BRICS currency is not just about challenging the US dollar. It is about creating a new financial system that reflects the economic realities of the 21st century. The BRICS nations, through their commitment to economic cooperation and the development of new financial institutions, are paving the way for a more balanced global economy. As this process continues to unfold, the world will be watching closely to see how the BRICS currency and its associated economic policies evolve in the coming years.